Hello, Facebook friends. Philippians tells us to be anxious for nothing, but in everything, through supplication with prayer and thanksgiving, let your requests be made known unto God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and mind in Christ Jesus. In this time, whether we're doing one-on-one or in groups, we see a lot of anxiety. But we do have a choice as to whether we increase our anxiety or take steps to decrease our anxiety. And when we increase our anxiety, we have a tendency to do things like constantly worry in our minds, think of the worst things that can happen, or what you didn't do, or what so-and-so should do, or how close those two people are walking together. There's a lot of things that increase our anxiety. But there are also things that can decrease our anxiety. And being anxious for nothing, but in everything giving thanks and praying and all that. In order to do that, we have to train our minds. Many of us have to train our minds to be able to think differently. So some of the things that we can do are take moments every single day and refocus. We can meditate, we can pray, we can take a walk, a nice socially distanced, physically distanced walk. We can do things like cook or clean the house, things that kind of take our mind off of the ongoing circle in our head. So, whatever we're doing, we can choose to be anxious, or we can choose to have faith and to build up our trust in ourselves and God and others, not necessarily in that order. And as a consequence of building that peace and trust within ourselves, we certainly have the opportunity to do things a little differently. One of the things that we often get caught doing, we tend to watch the news, and we watch these news agencies. Some people watch Fox News, some people watch CNN, some people watch MSNBC. But if you watch the news all the time, it has a tendency to raise your blood pressure. And part of the reason is, their whole job is to keep people engaged and therefore to continuously emotionally stimulate people. Well, when you do that, then you kind of get your blood pressure up over time. It gets you more anxious. Now, I'm not saying don't ever watch the news, but I am saying be conscientious about how upsetting that might be to you and how you might be able to do things differently because of the news. So some people have already stopped watching the news in entirety. I think you do miss something if you're not conscientious about getting information from somewhere. Now, for me, some of the best sources of information, the most reliable sources of information during this crisis are the World Health Organization, the Centers for Disease Control, and here in Inyo County, you can go to inyocounty.us and then go to the COVID-19 button on their page, and they'll tell you what's going on. Today we have 10 confirmed cases in Inyo County. We have no deaths, but they're not going to put things on there that are just trying to stir you up. They're only going to put things on there that are relevant and what we need to know for such a time as this. So I would say one of the great things that you can do is limit the amount of fear-based things that come in at you. That doesn't mean don't take precautions. That just means care enough about yourself that you're not just constantly being fed the COVID stuff. Part of this is so that you don't get anxious right now, and part of it so you don't get this sort of media tired. Like, I'm done with media. If you get to that point, then you might miss something that is important somewhere along the line, and you want to catch it before you get to that point so that you don't actually give up on the media entirely, because you do want to know some things about what's going on. And we want to know that in order to have the right information to be able to take care of people and to be able to cooperate with the needs in our community. And so I'm definitely recommending that inyocounty.us site, because it has all kinds of great information for what's happening in our community. What does the hospital say? What does the Chamber of Commerce say about the volunteers that they're getting? It has tons of stuff, and they keep updating it every day. And so I would strongly recommend, if you're living here, to go to that. Now, if you don't live here, but you're just kind of watching in, probably they have similar things in your own county, wherever it is that you live, or your own state, region. And so I would say go to the official sites, either for the Chamber of Commerce or the county site or public health, those kinds of things. And don't just take all of your stuff from so-and-so said on this news show, because that can get really ugly really fast. So I would encourage you, as you pull yourself away from the room and put yourself back towards what's really going on in your current world, you'll have much more energy to be able to do the things that you've been called to do. It's affecting everyone everywhere. So we need to take the best care of ourselves that we can, so that we're kind to ourselves and kind to one another. Because once that anxiety gets a hold of us, we start to break and we start to overreact to all kinds of things. And then we don't treat ourselves well, we don't treat other people well, and we get that whole cabin fever and other problems as we go. So let's take care of ourselves. Let's be conscientious about what we're putting in our minds, so that we don't live in a high state of anxiety. And then let's really be strategic about how we look at the rest of the day in order to fill it with all good things, even if just one thing that brings you out of yourself to help another. That's a successful day. But if you can do more, great. But please take care of yourself. This is going to be a little while, and I'm here with you. We're all in this together, and we will continue to be the faith community, encouraging one another, telling one another to love God, love ourselves, and love others in every single day. God bless you, and I'll talk to you later.